Captain Lisa Morgan stood on the bridge of the USS Defender, taking slow, deep breaths to calm her racing heart. Today was supposed to be humanity's greatest moment. First official contact with the Galactic Union. 7 alien species had sent representatives to meet with Earth's leaders, and the weight of representing all of humanity pressed down on her shoulders. "Captain, the Vrexian shuttle is approaching our docking bay," reported Communications Officer Olivia Patterson. Lisa nodded. "All senior staff to the welcome area. Let's make history." The crew of the Defender had trained for this moment for months. They had studied the limited information provided by the Union about proper diplomatic protocols. They had practiced greetings in several alien languages. They had even modified the ship's atmosphere in the meeting chambers to accommodate the visitors' breathing needs. Chief Negotiator John Miller joined Lisa in the corridor. His face showed a mixture of excitement and concern. "Remember," he said, quietly, "no sudden movements. The Vrexians especially are sensitive to quick gestures." "I've memorized all the briefings, John," Lisa replied with a small smile. "We'll be fine." They reached the welcome area where a small delegation of Earth's top diplomats and scientists waited. The airlock cycles completed with a soft hiss and the door slid open. The aliens that entered were nothing like the humans had expected despite all their preparation. The Vrexian ambassador stood nearly 8 feet tall, with iridescent scales, covering a slender body. 4 arms extended from its torso, each ending in hands with 7 long fingers. Its eyes, there were 5 of them, blinked independently across its face. Behind the Vrexian came representatives of the other species, the insect-like Zictol, the amorphous cloud beings called Mistwalkers, and 4 others that moved in ways that made Lisa's eyes struggle to follow. Lisa stepped forward as practiced and extended her hand slowly. "On behalf of humanity and Earth, we welcome you to our solar system." The Vrexian ambassador's scales rippled in what humans would later learn was extreme alarm. All 5 eyes focused on Lisa's outstretched hand, and it made a high-pitched sound that the translators couldn't process. Within seconds, the alien delegation backed away. The Vrexian's upper arms reached for something at its side, a device that started blinking rapidly. "What's happening?" John whispered, his diplomatic smile frozen on his face. Olivia Patterson stepped forward, her translator device working frantically. I think they see the hand gesture as threatening." She tried to speak directly to the aliens, but the damage was done. The Vrexian ambassador made a series of clicking sounds that the translator finally processed. "Aggressive posture. Security alert." The meeting deteriorated quickly. Despite attempts to explain the cultural misunderstanding, the aliens retreated to their shuttle, leaving only a small communication device behind. Hours later, the Earth delegation gathered in the USS Defender's conference room. The mood was somber as they reviewed what had gone wrong. "The handshake," Olivia explained, having analyzed the cultural databases provided by the Union before contact. "It's apparently seen as a challenge display among predator species in the galaxy. Extending your dominant limb toward someone shows readiness to attack." Admiral Frank Cooper, who had arrived from Earth shortly after the failed meeting, looked grim. "That's ridiculous. How were we supposed to know that?" "They assumed we did know," John said quietly. "The Galactic Union has been observing us for decades. They expected us to have studied their customs before requesting a meeting." "But we didn't request it," Lisa pointed out. "They contacted us." Olivia nodded. "I've been analyzing their messages more carefully. They see our technological progress as alarming. Most species take thousands of years to go from basic flight to space travel. We did it in less than a century." The communication device left by the aliens suddenly activated, projecting a holographic image of the Vrexian ambassador. Its voice came through in translated English. "Humans of Earth. The Galactic Union has classified your species as Category 7, dangerous, unpredictable, and requiring containment. Your rapid technological advancement combined with your aggressive biological instincts presents an unacceptable risk to galactic stability." The message continued, outlining terms that amounted to Earth's surrender. The Union demanded control of Earth's military assets, supervision of technology development and restriction of human space travel beyond their solar system. We expect your compliance within one Earth rotation. Failure to agree to these terms will result in immediate containment procedures. The hologram disappeared, leaving the humans in stunned silence. Admiral Cooper was the first to speak, his voice hard. They're afraid of us, not because of a handshake, but because we're advancing too quickly for their comfort. We can't possibly agree to these terms, Lisa said. It would be the end of human independence. Science Officer Ben Ward, who had been analyzing readings taken during the brief meeting, looked up from his tablet. Their technology is at least 300 years ahead of ours. Their smallest shuttle could probably take out this entire ship. What choice do we have? Asked one of the diplomats. Admiral Cooper stood up, his decision made. We fight. Humanity didn't come this far to be enslaved because some aliens think we're developing too quickly. But you heard Ben, John argued. They're centuries ahead of us technologically. And they're still afraid, Olivia noted. That's telling. Lisa studied the tactical displays showing the alien vessels positioned at the edge of Earth's space. They expected us to roll over. They don't understand humans at all, do they? No, Cooper said. And that might be our only advantage. Within hours, Earth's unified government had been informed. Emergency sessions convened across the globe. Military assets were mobilized. Scientists and engineers were called to action. The Union's deadline came and went. Admiral Cooper transmitted humanity's answer. Earth respectfully declines your terms and proposes proper diplomatic negotiations without threats. We wish peace, but will not surrender our independence. The response was immediate. Union ships moved into aggressive positions around Earth. What should have been humanity's welcoming into a galactic community was about to become the first day of war. On the bridge of the USS Defender, Captain Lisa Morgan watched the alien ships approach. On the tactical display, the odds were impossible. Earth's forces couldn't hope to win against such advanced technology. All stations report ready, Captain, said her first officer. Lisa nodded. Send the order to all Earth forces. Plan Stubborn Mule is in effect. It was the code name for humanity's desperate first strategy. Not to win, but simply to survive long enough to learn and adapt. The Union expected a quick surrender when faced with overwhelming force. They were about to learn that humans don't follow expectations. They think this will be over in days, Admiral Cooper said from his command post on Earth. Let's show them how wrong they are. The first shots of the Galactic War were fired 3 hours later. What the Union had planned as a simple containment operation would stretch into the most costly conflict in galactic history. All because they failed to understand one critical aspect of human nature: pure stubbornness. 6 months had passed since the first shots of the war. What the Galactic Union had planned as a quick week-long operation to bring humans under control had turned into a grinding conflict that puzzled the most experienced Union commanders. The Maui Hive commander of the Union forces stared at the holographic display of Earth's solar system. Red dots showed Union ships and bases. Blue dots represented human forces. There were far more red than blue, yet somehow the blue kept multiplying when they should have been disappearing. Explain this, the Hive commander demanded of its advisors. Its voice was a series of clicks and whistles that the translation device converted to understandable language. Why is the 7th planet not secured yet? A tactical officer approached cautiously. The humans have developed a new method of detecting our cloaked vessels. We lost 3 scout ships near the gas giant yesterday. On Earth, in a hidden facility deep below the Rocky Mountains, engineer Samantha Wright hunched over a modified weather satellite control panel. Dark circles under her eyes showed she hadn't slept in days. It's working, she whispered as data streamed across her screen. The methane detection system can find their cloaked ships when they pass through Saturn's upper atmosphere. General, Paul Fletcher looked over her shoulder. How did you figure this out? Samantha rubbed her tired eyes. Their cloaking technology bends light, but it can't prevent displacement of gases. The ships still have to push molecules aside to move through space. The general nodded slowly. So our regular sensors can't see them, but But they still leave a trail in gas clouds, Samantha finished, like seeing footprints in snow when you can't see the person making them. Across the solar system, Lieutenant Daniel Garcia led a small team of fighters in what looked like ordinary mining vessels. They approached a Union supply convoy near Mars, their ships disguised as routine asteroid mining operations. "Hold until they're in position," Daniel told his team over the secure channel. "Remember, hit the fuel containers first, then scatter. Don't try to be heroes." The Union ships never saw the attack coming. Human vessels that their scans had identified as harmless suddenly launched missiles from hidden compartments. The supply ships erupted in a series of explosions before the escort vessels could respond. By the time they did, the human ships had scattered in different directions, blending back in with the thousands of small vessels that moved through the asteroid belt. In the Union command center on Phobos, one of Mars's moons, alien officers reviewed the attack footage. "They're using tactics from their historical conflicts," one officer noted. "I've been studying their military history. The humans call this guerrilla warfare. They used it against themselves for centuries." The senior commander made a dismissive gesture with three of its limbs. "Primitive tactics should not work against our technology." "Yet they do," the junior officer said quietly. "They adapt faster than our simulations predict." Back on Earth, Major Kate Barnes stood at the command center of the Lunar Defense Base. The dome above showed Earth in the distance, beautiful and blue, with visible flashes from orbital battles lighting up the night side. "Union forces approaching from Sector 5, reported a young officer, 5 large vessels and at least 20 fighters." Kate nodded calmly. "Wait until they cross the line." The line was invisible, the point where the Union ships would be fully committed to their attack run and unable to change course quickly. The humans had learned through bitter experience that Union ships had a vulnerability during high-speed approaches. "They've crossed," the officer said. "Launch countermeasures," Kate ordered. From hidden silos across the lunar surface, hundreds of small reflective objects shot into space. They weren't weapons, just pieces of specially treated metal that dispersed in a cloud pattern. When the Union ships hit this cloud at high speed, their advanced sensor systems became overwhelmed with false readings. Their automated targeting systems tried to lock onto every reflective surface, overloading their computers. In that brief moment of confusion, the real lunar defense guns opened fire. 3 Union ships exploded. The others pulled away, their attack disrupted. "They'll be back," Kate said. "But we've bought a few more hours." In orbit around Earth, the main Union fleet was growing frustrated. 6 months into the campaign, they had expected Earth to be under full control. Instead, the resistance grew stronger each day. The Union had managed to destroy Earth's main communications network in the first week of fighting. They assumed this would cripple human coordination. They were wrong. In a small house in rural Idaho, an elderly man named Bill Hudson adjusted the dials on an ancient-looking radio set. Static filled the room before clearing into a voice. "Hummingbird to Eagle's Nest, supply drop confirmed in Sector 14. Bill wrote down the message and passed it to a teenage girl who immediately hopped on a bicycle and rode away. The Union forces couldn't track or block these old radio signals effectively, especially when humans kept changing frequencies and used coded messages. Across Earth, a network of ham radio operators maintained communications that the aliens couldn't monitor or control. Messages passed from person to person, sometimes by radio, sometimes by hand, creating a global resistance network that baffled the technologically superior invaders. In a captured Union vessel now being used as a human command ship, Admiral Frank Cooper met with his senior officers. "Their psychology is different from ours," explained Dr. Lindsay Hall, who had been studying captured Union personnel. "They expect rational decisions based on available resources and odds of success. And surrendering when those odds are impossible." Cooper nodded. "Exactly," Dr. Hall continued. "The concept of fighting despite certain defeat makes no logical sense to them. They literally cannot understand why we haven't surrendered." "Good," Cooper said grimly. "Confusion leads to mistakes." Meanwhile, on one of Jupiter's moons, a secret human base was being established. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock to adapt captured Union technology. Their shields operate on frequencies we never considered, explained engineer Peter Kim as he showed a team how to modify human weapons. If we adjust our laser frequencies by just 0.03%, we can penetrate their defenses more effectively. This pattern repeated across the solar system. Humans studied every battle, learned from every encounter, adapted their tactics daily. Union forces designed for quick, overwhelming victories found themselves unprepared for an enemy that grew stronger from defeat rather than surrendering. The Hive commander sent an urgent message to the Galactic Union Council. Human containment. Operation experiencing unforeseen difficulties. Request additional resources and revised timeline. Current projection for complete control of system. Unknown. The council was shocked. No species in recorded galactic history had lasted more than a month against a full Union containment fleet. Humans had endured 6 months and showed no signs of surrender. As the Union debated sending reinforcements, humans prepared for the long fight ahead. They didn't need to win every battle. They just needed to keep going, to outlast an enemy that couldn't understand their refusal to accept defeat. "We don't have their technology," Captain Lisa Morgan told her crew as they prepared for another dangerous mission. "But we have something they don't understand and can't counter." "What's that, Captain?" asked a young crew member. Lisa smiled slightly. "Stubbornness. Pure human stubbornness." 1 year into the war, Earth was partially occupied by Union forces. Major cities around the world had fallen under alien control. The Union commanders expected this to be the beginning of the end for human resistance. They were wrong. Instead of surrendering as a species was supposed to do when its main population centers were captured, humans scattered. They moved to mountains, deserts, remote islands, and the vast emptiness of space. Wherever they went, they kept fighting. Ryan Carter had been a civilian cargo pilot before the war. Now he commanded a fleet of 30 converted mining vessels. His ships looked like ordinary rock haulers, but each carried weapons and small fighter craft hidden inside hollow asteroid shells. Ryan stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Stubborn Mule, named after the human resistance strategy. His crew was a mix of former miners, military personnel, and regular people who refused to give up. "Union patrol coming around Venus," reported his sensor officer. 3 warships and a supply carrier. Ryan nodded. "Standard ambush pattern. Release the fighters once we're in position." The ragtag fleet of mining vessels moved slowly, appearing to be just another group of civilian ships going about their business. Union scans showed them as non-military targets. When the Union patrol passed within strike range, panels on the mining ships slid open. Small, fast fighter craft shot out from hidden bays. They struck quickly, targeting the supply carrier. First as usual, humans had learned that disrupting Union supply lines was more effective than attacking their warships directly. The Union patrol scrambled to respond, but the human fighters were already pulling back, returning to their carrier ships, which quickly blended back in with the hundreds of civilian vessels moving through the solar system. In a laboratory hidden beneath the Amazon rainforest, Dr. Alan Murphy examined blood samples through a microscope. Around him, other scientists worked with captured Union biological weapons. "It's fascinating," he said to his colleague. "Their bioweapons are designed to target specific protein structures common in most galactic species. But humans are different." His colleague looked up from her own work. "Different how?" "Our diets," Alan explained. "Specifically certain compounds in garlic, coffee, and chocolate. They create proteins in our bodies that the Union weapons can't recognize." One of the military officers overseeing the lab asked, "You're saying chocolate is protecting us from alien bioweapons?" Alan smiled slightly. "In a way, yes. Our unique diet makes their standard biological attacks less effective. They'd need to completely redesign their weapons to target humans specifically." This information was quickly shared through the Human Resistance Network. Soon, Union soldiers across Earth noticed humans deliberately consuming more of these foods. Union psychologists misinterpreted this as some kind of religious ritual, rather than a practical defense measure. On the Martian moon Phobos, now a major Union base. An alien commander named Vextor reviewed the latest reports from Earth operations. His scales had lost their healthy shine after months of frustrating combat against humans. Another squad has requested transfer away from Earth duty, reported his aide. Vextor made a clicking sound of annoyance. That's the fourth this week. What reason do they give? The same as the others, Commander. They claim humans are unsettling. It was true. Union soldiers were increasingly requesting reassignment away from Earth combat zones. Unlike other species the Union had conquered, humans didn't follow predictable patterns. They used primitive weapons alongside advanced technology. They fought, with no regard for their own safety. They smiled even when captured. A Union psychologist had written in her report, "Human prisoners maintain hope despite having no logical reason for it. When told their situation is hopeless, they often laugh. We cannot break their spirits because they refuse to accept reality." In orbit around Neptune, Commander Nicole Davis drifted in a spacesuit, examining debris from a downed Union warship. Her small team collected pieces of the alien vessel for study. "Look at this," she called to her team over the radio. "Their shield generators have a cycling pattern." She pointed to a partially intact piece of technology. The team carefully extracted it and brought it aboard their small stealth ship. Back, at their hidden base on one of Neptune's moons, Nicole explained her discovery to the engineering team. Their shields drop for 0.3 seconds every 30 minutes to release heat buildup. It's such a short window that they assumed no one could exploit it. "But now we can," said the lead engineer, already working on how to modify human weapons to take advantage of this flaw. This was how humans fought, finding every small weakness, sharing information quickly, and adapting faster than the Union could counter. No advantage was too small to use. In Union prison camps across Earth, captured humans confused their captors even more. Instead of becoming demoralized, humans organized within the camps. They created hidden communication systems, shared food and medicine, and even maintained their strange sense of humor. A Union guard reported to his superior, "The humans in Block C created a game where they pretend to be Union soldiers. They mimic our movements and exaggerate our features. Humans watch and make a noise they call laughter. We cannot understand the purpose of this activity. What the Union couldn't understand was that humor kept hope alive. Mockery was a form of resistance. The humans were saying, 'You haven't broken us. You never will.'" After 18 months of war, the Union Council met in emergency session far from Earth. Reports from the human containment operation were disturbing. "3/4 of our initial invasion force has been destroyed or disabled," reported the military coordinator. "Human resistance grows stronger each day rather than weaker." "How is this possible?" demanded a council member. "They have primitive technology. They should have surrendered or been exterminated by now." The coordinator hesitated. "They don't fight like any species we've encountered. When we destroy their ships, they build more from scraps. When we take their cities, they fight from the wilderness. When we cut off their communications, they create new ones we cannot track." The council debated sending even more forces to Earth, but other members argued against it. The war was already consuming resources at an alarming rate. Some began to question whether containing humans was worth the cost. Meanwhile, in a hidden bunker beneath what had once been Chicago, Earth's remaining government leaders met to discuss the latest developments. "The Union is getting desperate," reported General Susan Hayes. "Their attacks are becoming less coordinated. More of their ships are retreating after brief engagements." "They expected us to give up," said President Jack Howard. "They still don't understand humans." "What they don't understand," added Admiral Cooper, who had joined by secure video link, "is that every time they knock us down, we learn something new about them. Every defeat teaches us how to fight them better." A messenger arrived with news from the scientific division. "Dr. Murphy's team has reverse-engineered a Union communication device. We can now listen to their command transmissions." The room filled with tired smiles. It was another small victory, another step forward. Humanity continued to fight not because they believed they could win through direct force, but because they refused to accept that losing was inevitable. As the third year of war approached, a new development would shift the balance in unexpected ways. But for now, humans continued their scattered resistance, united only by their stubborn refusal to surrender. As the war entered its third year, something unexpected happened. Cracks began to form within the Galactic Union itself. Some member species started to question the wisdom of continuing the costly conflict against humans. The Tellurians, a species known for staying neutral in Union conflicts, sent a secret message to Earth's hidden government. They requested a private meeting away from Union detection. Diplomat Eric Rodriguez sat nervously in a small ship at the agreed meeting point near Pluto. His vessel showed no lights and had special coating to avoid detection. He had volunteered for this dangerous mission because he believed any chance for peace was worth the risk. A sleek ship appeared suddenly, seeming to melt out of the darkness of space. It was unlike any Union vessel humans had encountered before. It matched speed with Eric's ship and extended a docking tube. Eric stepped through the airlock to meet the first friendly alien face humans had seen since the war began. Ambassador Cathal of the Tellurians had 4 eyes and skin that shifted colors like an earth octopus. Despite the alien appearance, the gesture Cathal made was unmistakable, a slight bow of respect. "Thank you for coming," Cathal said through a translation device. "Many in the galaxy watch your fight with great interest." Eric was surprised. "I thought the entire Union was united against us." Cathal's skin rippled with blue patterns that Eric would later learn indicated amusement. "The Union claims unity, but reality is more complex. Several species have been systematically oppressed for centuries." During the next hours, Eric learned the truth about the Galactic Union. It was not the peaceful federation humans had imagined. The original 7 founding species had gradually taken control, pushing newer members into subordinate roles. Earth wasn't the first world to be labeled dangerous and targeted for containment, just the first to resist successfully for so long. "Your people's stubborn resistance has inspired many within the Union," Cathal explained. "Secret communications spread news of human victories. Some begin to hope that the Union's power can be challenged." Eric returned to Earth with this vital information, and something even more valuable: technical data provided by the Tellurians. The data included weaknesses in Union ships and details about their command structure. In a Union hospital ship orbiting Mars, an unusual situation unfolded. Union General Jason Powell had been badly wounded in an ambush by human forces. His ship crashed in a remote area, and he expected to die there. Instead, a group of human resistance fighters found him. To his shock, they treated his wounds and kept him alive until a prisoner exchange could be arranged. Now back with Union forces, he couldn't forget the experience. "They had every reason to let me die," he told the Union medical officer examining him. "I've ordered attacks that killed thousands of their people. Yet they used their limited medical supplies to save me." The medical officer made a dismissive gesture. "Humans are irrational. Their behavior cannot be predicted by logical models." "Perhaps," Jason said quietly, "our models are wrong." That night, Jason accessed Union battle reports with new eyes. He began to notice patterns he had missed before. The humans weren't just fighting back randomly. They were deliberately avoiding civilian casualties among Union forces when possible. Their primary targets were always military assets and supply lines, not population centers. This contradicted everything the Union leadership had told their forces about humans being dangerous, violent savages who needed to be contained for the good of the galaxy. On a captured Union outpost near Saturn, a small team of human scientists worked frantically to understand alien technology. Dr. Linda Evans had made an important discovery about Union communication systems. They use quantum entanglement for instant communication across any distance, she explained to the military officers watching her demonstration. That's how they coordinate their forces so effectively, no matter how far apart they are. "Can we disrupt it?" asked Colonel Steve Morris. Linda shook her head. "No, but we can listen to it and maybe," she smiled slightly, "maybe we can talk back." Within weeks, human forces began a new tactic. Using the captured communication technology, they sent targeted messages to specific Union ships and bases. Not threats or demands, but information, the truth about the Union's history of oppression against its own member species. At first, Union commanders dismissed this as primitive psychological warfare, but some of their subordinates began asking uncomfortable questions. Why were humans sharing this information instead of just fighting? Could any of it be true? A splinter faction formed within the Union military, led by Commander Zexitara, who had spent 2 years fighting humans and had developed a reluctant respect for them. Zexitara began secretly passing information to human forces about planned Union attacks. "I do not know if humans are right," Zexitara told his most trusted officers, "but I know the Union Council has lied to us. That is enough reason to question our mission here." In Earth's unified government bunker, now located beneath the ruins of Sydney, Australia, President Jack Howard met with his advisors. The room was filled with maps showing battle positions across the solar system. "The Tellurian intelligence has changed everything," said Admiral Cooper. "We now know exactly where to hit them to cause maximum damage with minimum casualties. And the defections within Union forces are growing," added General Susan Hayes. "Last week, 3 Union ships surrendered without firing a shot." President Howard looked tired but determined. "We've proven we can't be beaten through force. Now we need to show them there's a better way forward than endless war." He turned to diplomat Eric Rodriguez. "Draft a message to be sent on all frequencies. We want to speak directly to the Union species, not just their leadership." The message that went out was simple. Humanity did not want to destroy the Union. They wanted to reform it. They proposed a new galactic alliance with equal representation for all species, including Earth. The Union Council was furious. They tried to block the transmission, but it was too late. The message spread through their fleets. More ships began to question orders. Some refused to attack human positions. On a Union colony world far from Earth, a natural disaster struck. A massive asteroid impact that threatened the lives of millions. The Union fleet was stretched thin by the war with humans and couldn't respond quickly enough. To everyone's surprise, a fleet of human ships appeared in orbit above the colony. Engineer Patricia Nelson led a team that used modified Union technology combined with human ingenuity to divert lava flows and stabilize the planet's atmosphere. When Union reinforcements finally arrived, they found humans working alongside local species to rebuild. It was a powerful demonstration of what humans offered the galaxy, not a threat, but cooperation and determination in the face of challenges. As the 4th year of war approached, the conflict had transformed. It was no longer just about humanity's survival. It had become a struggle for the soul of the galaxy itself, and humans, through sheer stubbornness, had changed the terms of the fight. 4 years into the war that should have ended in days, the Galactic Union faced its greatest crisis. The conflict with humans had drained resources, divided member species, and revealed cracks in the foundation of the 1,000-year-old alliance. Honor. Earth, despite the hardships of war, a strange sense of hope had emerged. Humans had not only survived but had found allies among the stars. The scattered resistance that began as a desperate effort to avoid extinction had evolved into something more powerful, a movement for change that crossed species boundaries. Captain William Hayes stood on the bridge of the Earthship Liberty, once a cruise liner and now the flagship of humanity's diplomatic fleet. Around him, representatives from 7 different species, including 4 from the Union, prepared for the most important meeting in galactic history. "We're receiving the signal," reported his communications officer. "The Union Council vessel is approaching." William nodded. "Open a channel when they're in range." 4 years ago, he had been a history teacher. Now he represented humanity in peace talks that might reshape the galaxy. The irony wasn't lost on him. A former teacher of history was now making it. The massive Union Council vessel appeared, dwarfing the Liberty. It could have destroyed William's ship in seconds, but today it came in peace, or at least to talk about peace. "Channel open," the communications officer said. William took a deep breath. "This is Captain William Hayes of Earth. We welcome the Galactic Union representatives to these talks and thank you for agreeing to meet." There was a pause before a response came. This is High Counselor Vexnar of the Galactic Union. We acknowledge your greeting. No pleasantries, no warmth, but they had come. That alone was a victory. The meeting took place in a neutral space, a transparent dome constructed between the two ships. Representatives from both sides sat at a circular table, a design humans had insisted on to show equality. Vexnar spoke first, his translator converting his clicks and whistles to human language. Let me be clear. The Union does not admit defeat. We are here because continuing this conflict is no longer practical. William nodded. We understand. Humanity doesn't seek your defeat either. We want a new beginning. He activated a holographic display in the center of the table. It showed a new structure for galactic governance, one where power was shared equally among all member species. We call it the Sol Accords, William explained, a framework for cooperation rather than dominance. The Union representatives studied the proposal with skeptical eyes. One, an older member of the original Union founders, made a dismissive gesture. This would never work. Some species are naturally more advanced, more suited to leadership. The current system has maintained order for 1,000 years. Ambassador Cathal of the Tellurians, sitting with the human delegation, spoke up. 1,000 years of order for some, oppression for others. The humans have shown us another way is possible. The debate continued for hours. Union representatives argued for maintaining key aspects of their power. Humans and their allies pushed for true equality. Neither side would budge. As the first day of talks ended with no progress, William returned to the Liberty feeling discouraged. Engineer Patricia Nelson was waiting for him. No luck? She asked, seeing his expression. William shook his head. They still don't understand. They think this is a negotiation about who gets more power. Patricia smiled slightly. Then show them it's not about power at all. The next morning, William entered the meeting with a different approach. Instead of more political discussions, he brought evidence of what humans had accomplished during the war, not just in fighting, but in bringing species together. He showed footage of the rescue operation at the Union colony, where humans had saved millions. He presented research where human scientists had worked with alien biologists to cure diseases affecting multiple species. He demonstrated technologies developed by combining human creativity with alien knowledge. This is what we offer the galaxy, William said. Not a new political system, but a new way of thinking. We don't want to win the war. We want to end the need for wars. The Vrexian ambassador, who had declared humans dangerous at first contact, years ago studied William carefully. Your species has suffered greatly. Many of your cities lie in ruins. Millions have died. Yet you do not seek revenge. Revenge solves nothing, William replied. We're too stubborn to waste time looking backward when we could be building forward. Something changed in the room. The Union representatives whispered among themselves. Even the most resistant seemed to reconsider. High Counselor Vexnar finally spoke. Perhaps we have misunderstood humans from the beginning. For the next week, real negotiations took place. The Union would not dissolve completely, but it would transform. The Sol Accords would establish a new galactic alliance where all species had equal representation. In a bunker beneath what remained of Paris, President Jack Howard received the news with his cabinet. They've agreed to the core principles, reported the communication officer. The war is ending. The room remained silent. After 4 years of constant struggle, the concept of peace seemed almost unreal. Admiral Cooper, his uniform worn and patched, voiced what many felt. Is it really over? The fighting is over, President Howard said. The work is just beginning. Within months, the Sol Accords were formally signed in Earth orbit. Ships from 100 worlds gathered to witness the event. The document was simple in its language but revolutionary in its impact. All intelligent species would be recognized as equals. Technology would be shared for the benefit of all. Conflicts would be resolved through consensus rather than force. On the day of the signing, Captain William Hayes stood with representatives from every species that had fought in the war, former enemies now standing together. The Vrexian ambassador approached him just before the ceremony. "I must ask something that has puzzled our psychologists for years. When faced with certain defeat, why did humans never surrender?" William thought for a moment before answering. "Because humans don't believe in certain defeat. We're too stubborn to accept that anything is impossible." The ambassador made a gesture of understanding. "And that is how you won a war that could not be won." "No," William corrected. "That's how we ended a war that need not have been fought." As the Sol Accords were signed, celebrations erupted across Earth and on countless worlds throughout the galaxy. Human stubbornness, once seen as a danger to galactic stability, had become the foundation for a new era of cooperation. In history books written centuries later, the war would be remembered not for its battles, but for its outcome. Humans had faced an enemy they could not defeat through force alone, and had instead changed the rules of the game entirely. Earth's cities would be rebuilt. The scars of war would heal. The galaxy would enter an unprecedented age of peace and discovery. And it all began because humans were simply too stubborn to lose a war they couldn't win.